Okay, I would like to call the Orange Board of Education meeting to order on Monday, December 19th, 2022. To order at, what time you got there, Sue?
7:04.
7:04. Can we all stand for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tatiana, would you be kind enough to read the mission statement?
Sure. The Orange Elementary School District recognizes... Oh, thank you. The Orange Elementary School District recognizes that the education of each child is a shared responsibility of every member of our community. Our goal is to inspire and empower each student to achieve academic excellence, embrace social and individual responsibility, and lead with integrity. We believe all individuals should be valued and treated with respect. Together, we will make a difference.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public participation? I don't see any. Very well. We'll move on from there. Before we get into the consent agenda, at your places, you'll see that there is, once again, it's time to do committees. We do them once a year. So if you could fill these out and get them back to Cheryl by, Cheryl, we need them back by what, do we have to announce them in January? I think that's when we have to do. So
January.
if you could get them back to maybe the first week in January to Cheryl, email them. If there's any questions, you can always contact me. And of course, I will go through these. I will talk with Jeff and Susan about them. And then I don't see many changes coming, but we have to do our committees for 2023. Okay? Thank you very much. All right, so we'll get to the consent agenda. I'm looking for a motion to accept the items under the consent agenda. The minutes from November 21st, 2022 Board of Education meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes from the November 21st, 2022 Board of Education meeting? Susan, second. Betty, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Very well. We're going to move right on to Superintendent's report. Dr. Scarpetti?
Thank you, Mr. Crown. Good evening, board members. I hope all of you had an enjoyable Thanksgiving, and everyone watching at home, I hope all of you had a nice Thanksgiving also. So we're in the thick of the holiday season, and with that comes our winter concerts. All of you should have received dates of the winter concerts that are being held at our schools. Some have already occurred, thanks to the board members that were able to attend and those that will be attending. On a side note, it's nice to have these concerts back. I think the common theme of the schools that parents came up to me, even staff, is like, it's so great back to be in school and having the parents and having the kids perform as they do. So again, thank you for all our music teachers, again, focus on music learning theory. Again, the intentionality behind that, starting from pre-K all the way to 6th grade. Along those lines, the Connecticut Music Educator Association, CMEA, sponsors a regional concert festival each year for the middle and high schoolers throughout the entire state. Orange and Amity is part of the southern region. Middle school students, including the 6th graders from our elementary systems, are invited to audition. Students are required to play and prepare a solo, a selection of scales, and a sight reading quiz at the audition. They are judged and then scored. Top scorers are rewarded with an invitation to join the band and orchestra at a performance in March. The festival includes a 3-hour Friday night rehearsal, a 4-hour Saturday night rehearsal, and culminating with a Saturday afternoon concert. And I'm happy to announce that Kate Stoltenberg from Racebrook School scored 142 out of a possible 170 points on flute. The cutoff score of the flute was 135, and Kazuho Yasuna from Peck Place School scored 296 out of a possible 300 points on cello, and the cutoff score for cello was 204. Again, not only did they score well enough to join the festival, but they also competed against 7th and 8th graders. And as the old joke goes, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. So again, to them, we wish you the best as you continue to practice. Again, honoring some of our students, the Amity Pop Warner Pee Wee cheerleaders competed at the national competition in Orlando. They won second place in show chair and first place in sideline chair. There are 10 girls from Orange, Woodbridge, and Bethany on the team. Again, previous graduates from Orange Elementary are Maris Johnson and Riley Iannone, previous grads, and currently at Racebrook School, Josane Lewis and Leanna Esteves from Turkey Hill School. And from Orange also is one of the coaches, Charlotte Nicefaro. So again, congratulations on that accomplishment. Following the same theme about students, about more than just the instructional side, but the whole child. You may remember one of our PE teachers, Eric Rothbart, who now works at Amity, he created a club called the Amity Advocates, and that involves leadership and advocacy as a health elective, and students met all of our kindergartens and preschoolers and read a book and made a craft to encourage friendship. So again, it was a nice thing for them to come visit the school. Many of those people, part of that club, were previous Orange students. So again, thank you for Eric for creating that club and bringing them back to Orange. It's really nice to see. As Mr. Cap shared last year in his role as Building and Grounds, we reviewed the capital items in the 5-year plan. From those discussions led to the items that have been submitted to the Capital Committee. The capital planning met on December 1st, which the Board of Ed items were presented. Again, I'd like to extend thanks to the Capital Planning Committee whose chair is Mr. Oakenquist. And again, the Board of Finance members in advance will be presenting them to the Board of Finance in the near future, and I'll share that date with all of you. Budget-wise, we continue to go through this budget process. We were finalizing our meetings with all the chairs. Once that is over, I'm going to be reaching out to Ms. Riccio in her role as Chair of Finance and Mr. Kraut as Chair. We'll be discussing about dates for our budget workshop, so hopefully that will be coming soon. And before I proceed, Mr. Gray unfortunately isn't able to join us, but is there any questions with what I presented thus far? So with grants, again, at our finance, we went over the grants that we currently are existing. It's the ARP ESSER 3, ARP IDEA 611 and 619, and ESSER 2 SPED. So we're spending down. We are constantly reporting to the board at finance and the board update where we are with those funds. Most of those funds expire next year, but one does expire in 2024. Food services, that also has been mentioned in previous meetings. The State of Connecticut General Assembly has allocated $30 million to the Connecticut State Department of Education for free school meals for children. School meals assistance revenue transition known as SMART funds has allowed school funds authorities to continue providing meals at no cost to all students for a longer duration of time, while allowing for a smoother transition. That unfortunately has ended. We've been communicating to parents not only here at the board meeting, but also in our weekly updates. So that ends on January 4th, and beginning parents who will be required, those that choose to get lunch here will be on January 5th. We do encourage parents to fill out the forms if, things change. This is guidelines with regards to if you meet free or reduced lunch. Please fill those forms out. And again, January 5th is when we'll be reverting back to charging for meals. As a reminder, the price for a meal will be $3.05. The reduced price will be 40 cents, and milk purchase alone will be 60 cents. The auditors are completing. There's just one element to the audit that will be finished, way in advance. So we're looking forward to having that completed. Again, like I said, there's just one item that we have to get signed off on, but it'll be well in advance of when the completion is needed to be handed into the state. And lastly, we've had our first inclement weather. That was a little bit of a challenge because, it changes constantly. When we initially got the report on Sunday, it appeared that we would be doing a delay, but things changed. Thanks to Mr. Gray, all our custodians, and our supervisor, the highway department, and Donnie Foyer, again, waking up early in the morning, late at night, having that conversation. But thank you for your patience. We do our best to try to make a call the night before. This time we weren't able to, and I think we were able to get everything, and because of the hard work, we were able to start on time. And then lastly, I just want to wish everyone a happy holidays. we wish you to be safe, and we look forward to working with all of you in the new year. And that ends my report, Mr. Kraut.
Any other questions? Any questions for Dr. Scarpetti? Go ahead, Ken.
Just in case there's anybody who might want to become a superintendent, what time do you usually get up in the morning when there's an issue about a snow day?
It's early, but, you know, Mr. Gray and I were joking about that because it's a late night and early morning, and again, we have conversations with the BOA superintendents, but we start pretty early. 4 in the morning is probably a good call to start. Yeah, and we go visit the schools and make sure the schools are looking good and checking out the terrain, let's say. But again, everyone, it's not an easy night. Actually, it's an easier night than an easier day. But like I said, Mike Gray does a fantastic job along with the entire team. You know, we have our people, our staff that plow. Again, when we kind of connect that to budget, we save money that way. But also the highway department, if we need extra salting, especially at the parking lots, and sometimes we do need that. Donnie Foyer, and I have to say about Donnie, no matter what time we call him, no matter if it's 4 in the morning, 12 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock at night, he is so willing to help out and high energy in a good way. You never feel like you're bothering the guy. So, but we also want to make sure people are safe and ready to start the day. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a process.
Go ahead, Sue.
So just one comment about the audit. I really appreciate Mr. Gray and his team. They've done a phenomenal job over the years, and the fact that they're finishing so early is wonderful news. In the past, we haven't been as successful at completing early, and so I'm really happy that they're doing such a fantastic job. For those of you who don't realize, is that the school year goes July to June, and then the auditors come in and start looking through like literally every piece of paper and saying, where is this money going? How is it budgeting? Did we account it for it properly? There's a lot of work that goes into it. So it's a big job to get this audit to go as smoothly as they did. So they really deserve a lot of kudos. So thank you.
Anyone else? Very good. Thank you, Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Russo.
Good evening. I'll start tonight's report with an update on Connecticut's Next Generation Accountability System. Scores were publicly released on December 8th. These scores will be shared with members of the curriculum subcommittee at our next meeting. And we did share in our last board update a presentation that the Connecticut State Department of Education prepared on the accountability system. And there is a nice video on the title slide linked for anyone who would like to make more sense of the system. Next, an update regarding the waiver of Connecticut-approved K-3 reading curriculum model was shared with board members, and highlights will be shared by Mr. Ziman this evening during his report. And finally, an update on competitive grants, specifically the ARP-ESSER Innovation After School Grant. There's no decision yet. We're still awaiting and hoping for approval. And that concludes my report this evening.
Any questions for Dr. Russo? Congratulations to Argentina, Dr. Russo, for their big win at the World Cup. I like the shirt. Very good. Mrs. Ito.
Good evening. The Orange Elementary School is accepting names for the preschool lottery for the 23-24 program at Mary L. Tracy. Our special education, general education, integrated preschool is looking for 3- and 4-year-olds to enroll as community peers and positive role models. This program enriches each child's social, emotional, physical, cognitive, intellectual, and creative abilities through early academic and social experiences. It is designed to prepare the children for early success and school readiness. By law, students with special needs identified with an individual education plan are placed in the preschool program by the Department of Special Services through the planning and placement team process and are not required to participate in the lottery. This information has been posted on the OESS website as a pop-up, the Orangetown News publication. We got a nice feature on that. and in the December 16th issue, and principals are putting it in their weekly newsletters. Families who wish to have their child participate in the lottery may call the Special Services Department at 203-891-8023, and we are accepting names until January 27th, 2023. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for Mrs. Ito? Very well, thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you. Before we move on to board business, I don't want to forget this. We had, prior to the meeting, some refreshments here and some food that was prepared by our cafeteria staff. And I must say, the chili is unbelievable. The food they produce is outstanding. During negotiations, when we have the late nights and whatnot, they do prepare some food for the board members that participate in the negotiations. And it is unbelievable what they produce and make for us, and they should be very proud of themselves. They really do a great job, and the board thanks them greatly for what they sent over this evening, and we do appreciate it very, very much. So I just wanted to mention that. All right, we'll move on to board business. Orange Board of Ed student calendar. Do we have any discussion on the calendar? Generally, we do. Do we, Susan?
I do notice that, again, we're starting before Labor Day, and I understand the logic of it. I personally would prefer it to be after Labor Day, but understand because of other obligations, we need to do it this way. That's all.
Very good. Anyone else on the student calendar for 23, wow, 2023, 2024? All right, then, so I'm looking for a motion to accept the proposed 2023-2024 student calendar as presented to the board. Do I have a motion? Tatiana? Mr. Ziman, second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Very well. Hold on a second, I just skipped one. Okay. Second read, policy 6172.4, Title I, parental engagement. Do I have a motion to accept policy 6172.4 as presented to the board? Susan, second. Betty, any discussion on this? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Okay. Second read, 6141.31, bilingual, bicultural. Do I have a motion to accept policy 6141.31 as presented to the board? Mr. Vitale, do I have a second? Betty, any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? You have a policy first read, 6111, school calendar. We have a policy first read, 5117.1, school interdistrict choice, open enrollment. And first read policy 5141.6, crisis response. I would ask you all to review these policies so that they will be coming to the board in January for a vote. Okay? All right, very well. After we go through the committees, I will be looking for a motion to enter into executive session to discuss item number 7, the security monitors union contract. Standing committees, finance and operations, Ms. Riccio.
Finance Subcommittee met prior to this meeting. Dr. Scarpetti gave a very good update prior to this. Everything is going well. Just looking forward to budget workshops coming up.
Looking forward to those workshops, are you?
Yeah, I am looking forward
Okay.
to it. I'm one of the few that is.
Any questions for Ms. Riccio? Very well. Personnel, Mrs. Hadlock.
Yeah, the Personnel Policy and Transportation Committee met on November 28th. We reviewed the policies that are first reads this evening. While we were discussing them, we omitted some obsolete statutes, updated some language, and added new statutes. And so most of these, I think all of them actually, also need to have specific dates put in there. So I will invite people to look at them carefully. Please don't hesitate to call or email me if you have any questions, and we'll look forward to voting on them at the next meeting.
Any questions for Mrs. Hadlock? Thank you. Who do we have next? Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Cap.
I do not have any December updates for us. I can just say that we will be scheduling a meeting to be held in January for Buildings and Grounds.
Any questions for Mr. Cap? Thank you, Mr. Cap. Curriculum, the last one of the year, Mr. Ziman.
You know, I give these wonderful reports, and sometimes I wonder if anybody is really listening to me. I thought about giving the board members a quiz, but Dr. Scarpetti said I can't, so I let it go. Still, I wondered. If you remember, I've been talking about all the wonderful things that have been going on in the Orange school system. It turns out that the State Board of Education has obviously been listening. Recently, legislation called the Right to Read Act has been created. At the heart of this legislation is a mandate requiring all districts to replace their K-3 reading curricula and programs with one of 7 Connecticut State Department of Education approved curricula and programs sold by various national publishers. According to Eric Scoville, a State Department of Education spokesman, this will ensure that all districts will be using a curriculum that is evidence-based and scientifically researched and focused on competency in the following areas of reading: oral language, phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and reading comprehension. It's terrific that the state is now paying more attention to the research and knowledge that has been readily available and turned away from tried and true but dated methods. The fact that the state has acknowledged this and has instituted change in their philosophy and direction is fine. This is a great step forward. You see, what the state wants all districts to do is largely what we have already been doing here. We have been involved in an ever-changing and growing understanding of how reading should be taught. The guidance for this comes largely through Drs. Scarpetti and Russo, and is in fact based on the current education research and the science of reading. One of our crowning achievements has been the development of a curriculum created by our staff and administration, and then adapting our reading program to meet the needs of that curriculum. It is this ownership and familiarity that enables our teachers. You know, I realize this is probably the longest speech anybody's made tonight. I'm sorry, I'm almost done. That enables our teachers to adapt. Oh, man. Okay. 1 second. It is this ownership and familiarity that enables our teachers to adapt our curriculum and combine with our reading program to best be able to address the individual needs of all our children. To have to drop our current curriculum and reading program will eliminate all that good work that has been done and bring us back to starting over. Consequently, we will be seeking a waiver to be submitted by the end of February to be allowed to avoid this mandate and continue on the path we've been on. Actually, though it involves a lot of work, the good thing about this waiver is it gives us an opportunity to show all the wonderful work that the Orange school system is engaged in and is accomplishing. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Ziman. Any questions for Mr. Ziman? Very well. Thank you. Oh, go ahead, Betty.
I know, since our meeting, has the form even appeared yet, the waiver form? Is it out yet?
We have.
Yeah, that just came out on Friday. I shared it with
Oh,
Mr. Ziman, and
okay.
so we're going to
Good.
be looking at it and sharing it
All right.
with, at the next subcommittee meeting. There's some language, as Mr. Ziman shared. You know, I want to have a closer look at it. You know, am I allowed to make this decision on my own to do a waiver? as the CEO of the district, is that a board's decision is one thing that we have to look at.
Okay.
You know, if it's a board's decision, my recommendation is to do a waiver. But I appreciate Mr. Zimon's comments and what we've been discussing for at least the past 5 years, and hope that the State Department of Education, with their due diligence, will be looking at whatever committee's formed of what we've been doing here in Orange with the openness that we believe that we should expect and get from them. But, yeah, so to answer your question, Mrs. Hadlock, that just came out. Be more than happy to share it with all of you, but just had a conversation with Mr. Ziman over the weekend with regards to that as chair of curriculum.
All right. Okay, thank you. I'm glad it's out if we have a deadline of February, because I'm sure it's an onerous process.
Any other questions? No? Very well. Okay, ACES, Ms. Riccio.
So the ACES board meeting was on December 8th. It was one of my favorite meetings of the year, as we get to meet a lot of the students. Each board member received some cards. Actually, yeah, every board member got them. And we have cards that were given out. There was also a T-shirt given out that I actually gave to one of the students, which they were getting their card, but they didn't get necessarily the T-shirt, so I gave mine to a student. They also had ornaments, which are also very nice, and they said next year we'll get the ornaments too. We didn't get them this year. But it's amazing some of the work that some of these children do, and they all have names for the cards as well. So when you look at, usually the back of the card has the student's name, what school they're from, and the name of the picture. So I think these were Warm Friends, is on the front, and so there's all there, so, which I thought was very nice. And so the board chair and the superintendent asked me to reach out to ACES, and so they actually have purchased them for each of us, which I thought was very generous, so thank you. The other piece I want to mention is it's early in the year for ACES to be operating at a significant surplus, which is great. There are a lot of expenses that will be coming in for construction projects we have going on, but right now they're operating at a substantial surplus, which will be used towards improving some of the buildings. So, that's all.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Riccio? Very well. All right, then. So I will be looking for a motion to go into executive session to discuss the security monitors contract. Dr. Scarpetti, will you be joining us?
Yes, sir.
Very well. So if there's no questions, do I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the security monitor union contract? Susan, second. Ken? All right. All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? You good, Cheryl?
7:32.
Okay. So we are in executive session at 7:32. Okay, so we're back from executive session. The Orange Board of Education hereby moves to provide the funding for and to approve and accept the agreement for a successor collective bargaining agreement with the Security Monitors Union for the period of July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2025. The board further delegates to the chair the authority to execute all required contract documents required in this matter. Do I have a motion to accept that motion as read? Susan, second. Betty, any further discussion on this? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Very well. So I will be looking to get a motion to adjourn the last meeting in 2022. Susan?
Yes?
Mr. Ziman, second. Any discussion?
I'd just like to wish everybody happy holidays.
Oh, that's true. Happy holidays to everyone. I have the motion. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Very well. Thank you very much.